Alright, so this is going to be a full 1 hour plus guide, mini tutorial, mini course, whatever you want to call it, on how you can implement and set up a full CRO and split testing system for your e-commerce brand. I had a lot of fun recording this and actually writing the guide that I'm going to be explaining in this video. It's a 60+ page guide. You can find the first link in the description if you want to follow with the video while looking through it. And I'll explain in this video and in that guide exactly step by step, A to Z, how you can implement the system that has allowed us and me and my team to implement and add 7 figures in revenue to multiple DTC e-commerce brands over the last year in many different niches. By the end of this guide, if you watch through all of it and follow the steps that I'm going to be explaining in this video, you should have set up the first split test for your brand, and you should also have a whole system that now will be going on cyclically, building up hypotheses, building up tests, developing them, and actually implementing them in your brand to be able to increase conversion rate, AOV, RPS, and scale your brand incrementally with small incremental improvements. I hope this is helpful for you, so let's get right into it. E-commerce optimization system, how to profitably scale ad spend and keep your customer acquisition costs in check. Let's start from here. So first part of this training is, why is this training so important? All e-commerce brands suffer from the following problems, which are 5. Your customer acquisition cost is rising and you don't know how to fight it. You spend a lot on paid advertising, but you can get a good return on it. You are not as profitable as you want to be. Your online store visitors are not converting, or at least not as much as you want. You blindly update your store online all the time, hoping for growth without a proper system in place. This training is designed to solve all of these problems, and you can see the 5 problems here, all listed. You could have one of these problems, you could have some of these problems, you could have all of these problems. These are what are impacting your ability to grow and scale your e-commerce brand. Some of them are very impacted. So for example, blindly updating your store all the time. You don't know if the changes you're making are having a positive or negative impact because you don't have a way to track it properly. What doesn't get measured obviously doesn't get better. Or let's say you're unprofitable, not as profitable as you want to be. It's a very difficult position to be in because you can't see the light at the end of the tunnel and you don't know how to plan for the future to grow the brand. So yeah, these problems are very, very important to tackle early on. So this is why I've written this guide. You don't have a clear, consistent path to compounding growth, which is what is needed to actually scale your brand in the long term. And I've made an example here to show you why. So we have a brand A with their current situation like here right now, and they have a desire for growth like every brand owner and business owner in general out there. So they say, let's change stuff around. The problem with them changing stuff around is that they don't have a system behind it, and they don't have a proper way to track improvements behind it or losses behind it. So they start testing different offers, they start throwing around different designs, they start adding or removing different products just randomly. They just like throw different random updates at their store. And like after 12 months of doing these random changes and trying somehow and hope for growth by changing random stuff around like every single step of their store, whether it be products, offers, designs, anything and everything, just hoping for some growth. After 12 months, they find themselves at the same starting situation. Why is that? Because they, as I said before, they didn't have a system behind what they were doing, and they didn't know what exactly to tackle when doing changes on their store, whether that's regarded offers, whether that regarded products, whether that regarded designs or CRO, how their store is structured. They didn't have a system behind it, so they just threw stuff around. The changes they made, they probably had some improvements, some losses, but in the end, it's a net loss because you spent a lot of time without having a clear metric you can look at to say, okay, these changes made an improvement or they made a loss. So this is the problem with brand A in this case. Let's look instead at brand B. Like brand A, they obviously have a current situation. They also have a desire for growth, and so they say, let's change stuff around. But they have a strategic approach behind it. So every change they're going to make, they're going to split test it. What they're going to do is basically see how customers will react to these changes, and they're going to exactly track and have a precise metric for every change they make on how it impacted the overall performance of their brand for every single metric around it. So split test, they start split testing, they run split test 1, they run split test 2, they start running a lot more split tests on products, offers, pages, lenders, product pages, collection pages, home pages, everything and anything around their entire brand structure. They apply all of these split tests to their stores, and then after 12 months, these split tests start racking up incremental improvements. One test add 5% CVR and 10% RPS. One other test add 10% to their AOV. One other test is very, very good and add 15% to their CVR. And after 12 months, and by testing slow every single one of these changes, they achieve compounding consistent growth. Every test slowly improves their metrics, slowly adds incremental improvements to everything around the brand. And that's how after 6 months, after 10 months, after 12 months of testing, you get a very good way of incrementally scaling your brand. So this is an example here of the main difference you're looking at. A brand A, which does not have a structure and just does stuff randomly around, and brand B that has a structure that tests the change they make around everything possible and then has consistent compounding growth after 12 months. But let's go forward here. Obviously, both brands, they both want to grow and scale. So the logical conclusion they reach is that they need to start doing more or changing things like we've seen in the examples. If you're a brand A in 12 months, you might be at best at your same current situation, worse off than your current situation because you're just testing random stuff around without knowing the impact. If you're brand B though, you are guaranteed to be better off because even let's say in an impossible scenario, every single test you run is a loss, so you don't improve with the test you're doing, you still have a good knowledge base to say, okay, these changes are not impacting my store positively, so we need to veer in a different direction. Just to drive this point even further here, we have Jeff. This is Jeff. He runs a type A brand. He can make any long-term decisions for the brand's future because he's unaware of what drives growth and what kills it. I wrote this guide for Jeff and people like him who want to incrementally scale their brands and make sure every single dollar spent in advertisement has the maximum possible return, but now and in the long run. And this applies to 6-figure brands, 7-figure brands, 8-figure brands, to any single brand that spends money on paid advertisement. Every one of us wants to make sure that our paid spent traffic converts as well as possible to make sure every dollar we spend returns as many dollars as possible. So here is Jeff. Obviously revenue is going down, conversions are going down, acquisition costs are going up because, as you know, obviously all of the paid ad platforms, Meta and every single one of them, acquisition costs are going up, so we need to fight this. Profit is going down because obviously when acquisition costs goes up, we need to spend more and more to acquire customers. So this is a problem. We need to fight this. Before we go forward with this training, I want to make sure you don't get overwhelmed by the 60 plus pages of information we are going to go through of my experience split testing and optimizing 7 and 8-figure brands. This is a very in-depth document that goes through every single step of setting up a proper split testing system for your e-commerce brand that can add hundreds of thousands in monthly revenue in as little as 30 days. And we've done this documented as a case study for one of our clients. How do I know? Because we've built and implemented these systems for multiple 7 and 8-figure DTC brands. We've optimized anything you can think of, both on the funnel side, offers, copy, landing pages, advertorials, listicles, hard sell pages, quicks, box builders, anything and everything you can think of, and on the store side, so buy boxes, bundles, PDPs, home pages, collections, navigations, carts, and checkout for different brands in different niches with different audiences, but with the same great results. I have a message with you, which in this case is in this video. By the way, if you want to access this document, it's in the first link in the description. If you decide that getting the most value for every conversion is the right choice for your brand, then you can book a call with me in the second link in the description. Okay, so we've talked about type A brands, we've talked about type E brands, and the question you might be asking right now is, how does a type A brand become a type E brand? We'll have to answer 3 questions, but don't worry, we'll answer them together right now. The 3 questions are the following. So you have visitors that come to your store. Either way, it might be retention marketing, it might be ads, it might be organic traffic, whatever is that way, you have visitors that come to your store. And those visitors, for every session they have on your store, they either convert or bounce off the store. The problem is that to be able to tackle the probability of a visitor converting or bouncing and making sure it's as high as possible for conversion, you need to be able to know first what happens in the middle here? The majority of brand owners and brands in general, and this is a very big problem, do not know what happens when visitors land on their store. It's just that black box of like unknowingness that every brand owner doesn't even know, like what are the highest converting path on their store, the most clicked things on their store, the most checked out products in their store. There are a lot of things that are just black boxes of like someone not knowing anything about what happens on their store, and that what actions drive conversions, what actions drive bounces, and like in general this is a very big black box, and the majority of brands do not know how to fix it. So the 3 questions here are: what happens in this black box, why does it happen, and how can we change it? And we're going to answer these 3 questions together. So the issue here, as you can see, is obviously overwhelming majority of brands can't answer these 3 questions. Chances are you're probably in that majority, but that's not an issue because these problems can all be fixed, obviously. So I want to help you here answer those questions. By proxy, you'll be able to solve your brand growth problems. Answering them is easier than you expect. You just need to have a proper system in place. So let's tackle first the first question. What happens here? Do you know how people use your store? What do they click on after landing on it? How much do they scroll? What do they look at the most? What products and collections attracts them the most? How many clicks it takes them to get what they want? Until the very second before opening this video, and in this case opening this guide, you've made changes to your store without being able to answer even 2 of all of those questions. At best, your improvements did not make any difference. At worst, you just made the user experience even worse because you don't know it. You need to have a structure in place that gives you the best possible changes that you can make to incrementally improve their store, and you'll find that in this video. As you can see here, the visitors, as I mentioned before, they land on your store and they have a lot of questions about what they're looking at and what they're clicking at, and what they're viewing on your store. I thought this click would do something. This is confusing. I can find what I'm looking for. This is taking up too much time. Why is the sale mentioned here but not there? And many more objections. Customers have objections at every single step, every single action you propose them and you make them show on your store. They have objections around them, and mainly in this case we're talking around usability, user experience, and your store experience in general. So this is the first question we'll be able to answer in this video. The second question is: why does it happen? Do you know why people buy from you? What are their dreams, goals, aspirations? Where do they come from? What pains and problems they experience daily, and their interests? If you don't know how to answer, you're basically blindfolded. Remember, you're not selling to numbers, which is a very, very common problem to have when you're just looking at dashboards with metrics on them. You're selling to humans. You need to build a self-feeding knowledge base that contains all of the information you need to market your product in the most effective way possible to a certain audience, and you'll find this in this video. And so, to mention again the example from before, you have visitors landing on your store and they have emotions and problems they need to solve. Will this actually help me? I'm in pain, I need a solution. This is not the best option for my goals. This doesn't feel right. Competitor's product is better, and many more thoughts around emotions, pains, and problems they experience daily in their life, and you need to be able to answer them. The third question is: how can we change that? After reading this video, after reading this guide, and after watching this video, you'll be able to answer the first 2 questions, and automatically the answer to the third questions will become apparent. The solution has always been in the market and your customers. When you understand their patterns, thoughts and actions, you can easily start to move the right levers that will help you increase CVR, AOV, and RPS. This is the technical setup part of the optimization system, and it runs on the answers to question 1 and 2. And as for the other 2, you'll also find the entire process in this video right here. And so this is the full example right here. You have visitors, they land on the store, they have the problems, emotions, and experiences that we've mentioned before in the other 2 questions. And so we'll be able to split test about like following what the market and what the visitors that land on our store and the customers that buy from us tell us about our brand. So what will be our strategy to tackle all of these problems? The strategy will be using our traffic optimization protocol. And this above image shows that protocol. The exact one I've used to add hundreds of thousands of dollars in additional monthly revenue to our clients in as little as 13 days in some cases. There's a lot of things to unpack here, and I'll do that in the next part of the video by fully eviscerating every single step, because remember, we're going to go A to Z, every single step of the process. But first, I want you to understand the philosophy behind this, because this is the most important part you've been missing on. But before going on to that, I want to show you the protocol in this image right here. So every single brand, every single product out here on planet Earth has people that buy that product to solve different problems or different pains. So here we have in this example 3 different people. Your product helps me with X, your product helps me with Y, your products help me with Z. So for every single one of these customers, obviously we need to have selling angles scattered around that specific pain or problem that we are solving with our product. As you can see, every selling angle is its alone buy box containing creatives, copy, and all of the landing pages we use for that specific selling angles. All of these selling angles can be funneled to your main store, and in most cases, most brands will be using their main store, but it's not necessary. And this, inside this black box right here, will be the ecosystem. The ecosystem is the funnel where we send all of our traffic to. Everything inside the ecosystem must be split tested. That's the very important part about this, because if you just build up the stuff and send traffic to it and never make changes, never split test the changes that you're making to see what performs better, you'll never be able to make sure that this ecosystem performs as high as it possibly can. So we need to split test everything inside the ecosystem. But going forward, this is the philosophy behind what we're looking at here. You are already getting the clicks, but you are not optimizing them. Most brands get lost in the ads manager trying to find the perfect creative that will magically solve all their problems. And while testing creatives is very important, don't get me wrong, it's giving you more clicks at a cheaper price if the creatives you make are good. Not revenue, not conversions, not sales. They are giving you clicks. And you're spending a big chunk of your revenue to get those clicks, but you're throwing them away because the store is where those clicks become revenue. This strategy will stop you from ever wasting your ad spend again. How will we stop wasting that ad spend? Here's why: with the power of split testing. So without split testing, you're getting clicks. Those clicks on your creatives are driving visitors to your store, and you're getting sales or bounces. You are caged in this case because you can't increase ad spend and scale, because it's not related one to the other. If you're going to increase ad spend, less people are going to convert, so we're not going to be able to scale that profitably, because remember, we want to scale profitably. With split testing, the same clicks you're getting on your creatives that are driving visitors to your store are going to be converting at a much higher rate than before when you weren't split testing. In this case, obviously, you are free to scale because you're comfortable, because you know your split test and the split test you are running on your brand and on your store will convert as many visitors as possible while keeping profitability in check. So that's how we're going to do that. Here, we're going to start with the implementation. And the first step of the implementation, the step-by-step plan, will be the most important thing you'll need to do to make sure that this process will work for your brand, which in this case is research. So let's start with step 1 here. And the first thing about step 1, which is very, very important, is who is your customer? Have you ever asked yourself who's there on the other side of your store? Do you know who they are? What are their demographics, their interests and preferences, their dreams, goals and desires, what pains and problems they experience on a daily basis? It's easy just to look at customers and sales as a number on a screen, but you are selling a product that solves a problem or a pain that will be used by an actual person. This is why research is the most crucial step of the entire process, and if you fail this, the entire protocol will crumble on shaky foundations. Let's look at this graphic right here. The customer, everything he buys or she buys helps me with one of these, and these are inconveniences, problems, ambition, pains, goals, worldview, life situation, dreams, and everything else around these main things right here. So you need to be able to cater and be relatable to these things right here. How do you understand the customer persona? The objective of research is to understand who you're marketing towards. This is very important because the knowledge you build during this step is essential for writing ad scripts, writing copy for creatives, writing copy for sales, landing pages, advertorials, statistical, etc. So this point is fundamental. It's almost impossible to sell anything effectively with copy if you don't know who you're talking to, and copy is the fundamental part of everything we're doing here. How do you build these selling angles for a customer persona? Just by giving a quick look to your store reviews, this is one of the examples we're going to look at. You'll understand that different people buy your product for different reasons, like we've seen before in the optimization protocol. We use these reasons as building blocks for selling angles. A selling angle is a unique perspective or approach that highlights the specific benefits or solutions your product offers to a particular customer persona. Research allows us to understand what angles we can build on and ultimately be more effective with when selling our product. As we've mentioned before, your product helps me with X, your product helps me with Y, your product helps me with Z. You must sell multiple angles to multiple customer personas. Not selling to multiple customer personas prevents 98% of DTC brands from scaling exponentially. Right now, a huge chunk of the market is not buying your product simply because you're not actively marketing towards them. This is an awareness problem, not a budget or media buying problem. You can scale, you can try as many creatives as you can possibly do humanly every day, but this is an awareness problem. You don't know why someone buys your product, so you don't market it towards more people that could buy for that same reason. And this is a real example from a client of ours in the supplements niche. So this client of ours sells a fruits, greens and superfoods supplement. They sold it before we started working with them for seniors who liked daily vegetables and fruits in their diet. This is very obvious, and this is a selling angle. What you're looking at here, seniors who lack daily vegetables and fruits in their diet, is a selling angle, because lacking daily vegetables and fruits in your diets comes with another whole list of issues, problems and daily life problems that are obviously the consequence of not eating daily vegetables and fruits. But they didn't know other people were actively looking for their products. Seniors looking to improve their energy levels, seniors looking to ease their joint pain and muscle pain, seniors looking to improve their sleep quality, seniors looking to support their immune system, and many more angles we found after we started working with them and implemented our system in their brand. So here is the example made in a more graphic way. Here, as you can see, this is what they already marketed their product towards, and this is what the big chunk of market they are missing out on. And besides the more numerous audience, which is not the real problem here, a different selling angle might be higher converting at a bigger scale. What does that mean is that by marketing your product to a different angle, you might be able to use the same resources you're using now and get a higher bang for your buck, because that angle or that segment of the market might be higher converting. So this is the real reason we need to be able to sell our products to multiple selling angles, to multiple customer personas. There are 4 main approaches to conducting research, and we're going to look at them right now. Approach A is on-site data tracking. This is the main one and basically what every single brand does out here, except for a very big issue that a lot of brands do not know. So on-site tracking is the easiest, most straightforward way to understand how customers interact with your store. You must have 2 things in place here: analytics software, which almost every brand out here has, and heat mapping software, which is the other big issue I mentioned before. Heat mapping software are very important. We're going to go into them right now. Why heat maps? And I'm going to explain a very simple analogy here. Imagine this: you're at point A and you need to get to point B. It's your first time going to point B. You never went to point B before in your life. But there's a catch. You can't use any physical maps or navigation app or software. This would be very, very tough because you don't know point B, you've never been there. So this would be extremely hard. That's exactly what it's like trying to optimize your store and your brand without knowing how customers interact and think about it and your brand. Why make this harder for yourself? So this is a 5-hour drive from point A to point B, and you're trying to reach point B with no navigation at all. This is the analogy. You need to use heat mapping software, and you need to type of heat maps on your store. A click heat map, which is the gold standard here. This type of heat map shows you where users click. This is obviously insanely helpful for multiple reasons. Understand what attracts the eye the most, understand what's getting clicked that shouldn't be, and vice versa. Understand if there are parts of the store that cause frustration with rage clicks. And the second type of heat map you need to be using is scroll heat maps, and those serves only one purpose: to understand how far users and visitors scroll. Drop off after the above the fold is very steep, 50% plus, and it will make you cognizant of leveraging those 2-3 seconds of initial attention you get in the best way possible. At the agency, we use heatmap.com with every single client of ours because it's the best heat map tool available, and I'll leave the link to check it out down below in the description. Use that link for installing heatmap.com on your store. Heatmap.com is the heat mapping tool I've used to come up with split tests that have added 7 figures in annual revenue to our clients. It's by far the best tool of the category because of its revenue-based approach, which no other heat map app in the market has. So it has obviously revenue-based heat map, so you can know the exact revenue you're getting from every single click on every single element of your store. This is so powerful to understand and double down on the winning part of your store. And you can see here a little example, which, as you can see, for example, the hero button of 9,840 session, and it tells you exactly the revenue that every single element on your store is driving. This is very, very good. The second one is revenue-based scroll maps, which, as I mentioned, is the second very important heat map you need to use on your store. It understands what sections are underperforming on your store with user drop-off and revenue drop-off metrics for every single page, so you can understand why a user bouncing off a certain page and what is exactly the certain section of that page that makes them drop off. And then we also have user screen recordings, obviously very, very important, and they are equipped with revenue tracking. So every session from every user that visits your store will have its revenue tracked. This will simplify 10x the research process, which you're looking at here, allowing you to understand what users look for, and click on your store. With Heatmap.com, you have a powerful tool in your arsenal that will help you increase your profit margins. So check it out with the link in the description. Approach B of the 4 approaches is surveys. What better way to understand the customer persona than to ask a customer directly? It's seriously staggering how many brands don't use any form of asking customers their opinions, because you can get a lot of data points, such as how you can improve your store, how you can improve your product if they already bought it, what could make them buy if they haven't bought yet, what prompted them to interact with your brand in the first position in any way with your store at all. So here you can very simply understand why this is a very, very good tool, because you get clicks that get visitors to your store, and you ask yourself obviously what happens here, but you can directly ask that question in the first place to the visitors that came to your store, so you can get answers, and those answers you can implement them as split tests. So that's a very, very good way. Surveys are a very, very good way of doing this actually, and of conducting research. And there are a few types of surveys and setups for surveys you can run. There are 3 types of surveys you can run on your store. There are on-site surveys, so pop-ups that show up on your store with questions about user experience, traffic source, usability, and stuff like that. You can set it up with email providers. Most email providers have pop-up like this in their arsenal. You just have to add the code they provide on your store, but there are a lot of different ways to do it, and you can use even external softwares and apps and stuff like that to implement on-site surveys. We have post-purchase surveys, which are extremely valuable, because you're asking questions to customers you know have just bought from you. And so, as the saying goes, strike the iron while it's hot. Someone just became your customer, and all of the reasons that prompted them to buy from you are still fresh in their minds. Why did they buy from you? Were they looking at competitor products? Was the checkout experience straightforward? And you can set up this with Zigpool. You can use SurveyMonkey as apps on Shopify for post-purchase surveys. If you're not on Shopify, you can customize your thank you page with external form providers, like, for example, Type4. And we have also email surveys, so retention marketing, the bread and butter. With emails, you can reach both customers and non-buyers if they subscribe to your email list. Questions may vary depending on what segment you're targeting, so you may ask different questions depending on if they're a very avid buyer of you, if they just bought once, if they never bought, if they just scrolled around in your store, if they left something in the cart, for example. You can just segment and ask different segment of your market different questions. So this is also a very good way of doing it. And your email provider is perfectly fine to send surveys in most cases. You can also use external form providers if you want, like Typeform, as I mentioned before, and simply attach the link there. The third way of conducting research is reviews. Another goldmine that's very rarely leveraged properly by 95% of DTC brands. Not leveraging reviews for customer research is very, very stupid, and I'll show you right now why. So let's say some random person was scrolling on IG, TikTok, or any social media platform out there where you run your ads. They saw an ad of yours, clicked on the ad, landed on your store, looked at your store and product, was convinced just enough to decide to buy your product, adds it to cart, goes through checkout, gives you money, gives you revenue, and then cares enough to leave a review telling you exactly what's good and bad about the product and how it helped them. This is a very, very big sequence of actions that you are not leveraging by not using reviews in your research process. All of that just for you to never use that information for something productive, which is a bummer. I bet you've just raced to your store to look at reviews, and I'll tell you how to leverage them to extract keywords, messaging, and pains and problems solved from the reviews you're getting. Obviously, you'll need to have quite a bit of reviews here. If not, this will not be very helpful because you can just scroll to them manually. But if you start having 500, 1,000, 5,000, 10,000, 20,000, 50,000 reviews, then this will be very helpful. And this is an example of something we've done for a client of ours, which, as you can see, we conduct for every single client we work with. We conduct, as part of our research process, a customer reviews analysis where we extract main keywords, solved problems and pains, emotional, psychological messaging used, some marketing angles we can use in our next campaigns. Obviously, for this step we use AI. We don't use AI obviously to write any copy or directly to write anything that goes in our split test or in the things we build, but we use AI to extract information because AI is very, very good at pattern recognition, and we're going to look at that right now. How to leverage AI to extract data from reviews at scale. Now that LLMs are widely available and you have ChatGPT at your disposal, analyzing a huge chunk of text data in no time is very, very easy. We won't use ChatGPT to directly write copy, as I mentioned. You will get bad results doing that. But do you know what ChatGPT is very good at? It's very good at pattern recognition, especially if you have a lot of information. 95% of people that try to leverage AI get unusable results because they do not provide enough context information for it. But in this case, since we have a lot of information with 10, 50, 100,000 reviews on the stores we're working on, we can get very good information from it. So you can do it following this process right here. You can export a CSV containing all of your store reviews. You can do this basically with any review app you're using right now, whatever it may be on your store. You can ask for a CSV extract of all of your reviews. Then you can import this in ChatGPT or Claude, and for both of this I think you'll need the paid plan to do this. If the file is very, very big or you have a lot of reviews, you probably need to go the API route, so write a little bit of code, but you can also ask in that case Claude or ChatGPT to help you. In most cases they are very, very simple scripts, so you don't need to do anything fancy or complicated. You can simply ask GPT to clean the body of the reviews and only have the body, so the context and the content of the reviews available there. You can create a big unique chunk of text made of all the reviews body put together, and you can ask GPT to do that and to do that on the CSV for you. And now you can use whatever prompt you want to basically ask any question you want, and the results will come directly from your customer messaging. And in most cases, this will be an extensive, immense base of 100,000 plus tokens you can extract information from to understand exactly what customers and visitors think about your product, how they've used their product, their experience with your product, and a lot of angles around that. One of the prompts I personally use when doing this for my clients is: you're a customer reviews product marketing expert. I have a text block that contains reviews of an insert your brand niche. I need you to analyze the text and write a full in-depth report of the main keywords, solved problems, pains, and messaging that the customers use to describe the product and its effects and the experience of using it. Very, very important. Go as much in depth as possible. We want to go the direct response, emotional and psychological route to market the product. Then write 3 marketing angles we should deploy on landing pages, advertorials, listicles, and sales pages. This is obviously one of the example prompts you can use. You can write whatever prompt you want for whatever use case. The security you'll have is that you're basing all of this information on things you've directly extracted from reviews your customers have left for you. So this is the very important part about this. The next and last approach will be the good old competition. You use data you get from this approach just for knowledge and about how competitors are marketing the product and which selling angles they are using. Do not assume, and do not make this mistake, that something is working just because competitor and other brands are doing it. They will be also testing stuff around if they are smart brand owners. Here's how to analyze your competition. You can spot their weaknesses, so you can obviously in this case again use reviews because they prove themselves very helpful again just by looking at low rated reviews. So in this case 1, 2, 3 stars, you can get a grip on what is not working for other brands in your niche that are selling your same product. This gives you a clear advantage when conquering a niche. As the saying goes, it's good to learn from your mistakes. It's great to learn from the mistakes of others. You can also look at creatives, ad scripts, and funnels. Go over Meta Ads library. It's open for everyone, and Google Transparency transparency center for ads, and you can look at what they're putting out in terms of marketing. Go through their landing pages, go through their funnels, subscribe to their email marketing, see how their retention is. Again, do not assume that something's working just because they're doing it. Only do the step and use this approach to get an idea of what selling angles are getting used out there in your niche. We've now completed step number 1, which is research, and we can go forward with step number 2, which is hypothesis. Hypotheses are the bread and butter of split testing. Let's start by defining what is a hypothesis. A hypothesis is a statement that predicts how a change will impact your store. For example, changing subject of change from X to Y will increase metric by percentage result because a reason. Simply put, you need to come up with split testing ideas that will possibly increase a desired metric of yours. Possibly because you need to know that not all tests will win, there will be losing tests. You've already read this in the first few pages of the document, but it's worth repeating. Split testing is a continuous cycle, never ending, with the goal of consistent incremental improvements that on a long enough time frame will scale your numbers consistently. With the right framework, even losing tests will be helpful for long-term planning because you'll know what doesn't work in your niche and for your target customers. So this here is a very simple graphic to explain it. Changing subject of change, which can be headline, offer, copy, angle, buy box. This is just 5 examples, but there are a million things you can possibly change. Will increase metric, so in this case CVR, AOV, profit per session, LTV, whatever is the metric that you're looking forward to. By goal, which is the goal you want to increase your metric by, because reasoning, and you base your reasoning with the research we've done in step 1. So this is how you structure a hypothesis. Is building hypothesis essential? The answer is actually no, but the problem is you could just hop on your A/B testing tool of choice, put up some random tests and call it a day, and that would be good enough. But that is not the approach we want for a consistent, scalable system that should help us grow over time. Remember that you want to become a type B brand. So if we do random stuff, we're not going to become a type B brand. And here I recall the graphic from before. Taking time to brainstorm split test ideas for your store may not be super fun, but it allows you to have bird's eye view of what needs to be tackled and makes prioritization much easier, but we'll look at this later down the road. What makes the step difficult or tedious is that 90% of brands have never conducted proper research. But since you're a small brand owner and you decided to follow this guide and this video, you now have that in your arsenal because of step 1. So let's get into it. Hypotheses are built around 3 core pillars. The first pillar is offer, the second pillar is targeting, the third pillar is presentation. Offer is obviously where the money is. Testing any piece of your offer will have a direct impact on your metrics, AOV, CVR, etc. If you're testing everything else but not the offer, you're not getting the best possible outputs and results. The second pillar is targeting. Targeting is who you're selling your offer to, who you're marketing your offer towards. You hook the right audience by writing relevant copy and using storytelling pertinent to the customer personas of said audience, as we've seen in step 1. Great offer plus great targeting means a lot of good outputs, means a lot of money. And then the third pillar is presentation. Presentation is how you showcase the offer to the target audience. In very cheap terms, it's design. Don't fall into the copy versus design cop talk. Test both. We'll talk about that later when we go over the third pillar. We've seen massive increases in revenue conversions by just improving buy boxes on PDPs. This is just to mention a very simple example of design doing work to increase the metrics of our clients. So let's go over the 3 pillars here. Pillar A, offer. Testing offers by far the highest leverage move you can pull to see massive improvements in your metric. There is nothing as impactful as selling a good offer to your customers, well, beside obviously the product you're selling. An offer that makes them feel like they're getting a deal will do wonders, and the possibilities here are completely endless. Research is essential for this. Again, step 1, very important, because building offers it obviously depends on the customer demographics you're selling to, so age, earning potential, location, etc. Product, which is the product usability, everyday need and stuff like that, time of the year, holidays, and many different things I don't mention here for shortness, but you'll always you need to make sure you have done the research work in step 1. And here are some examples of commonly used examples for offers. So threshold offers, get X free with a minimum order of Y dollars. Bundle offers, buy X, get Y free. Gift offers, receive a complimentary X with any Y purchase. First time customer offers. So there's like infinite offer types here, so you can mix and match and test this based on the information you found in step 1. This here are a few examples from the biggest e-commerce brands out there. For example, Blissy, buy 3 pillowcases, get 1 free, limited time offer ends tonight, get an additional gift just today only, exclusive not Prime Day sale. And then we can go over, for example, this example from Javi, limited release starter kit. These offers do very, very well. Save up to 54% off and free gifts today only and stuff like that. And then we have here another offer from Space Goods, another example, Rainbow Dust premium starter kits and bundles and stuff like that. So these are just a few examples here, but testing offers is very, very important. But let's go forward with pillar B, which is targeting. Targeting is the second essential piece to the puzzle. What do I mean by targeting? Targeting is the market segment you're actively selling your product to with your copy and storytelling at every step of the funnel. Some customer personas are more lucrative than others, and we've seen this when talking about different selling angles in step 1. Some people spend less in certain seasons than others, and so on and so forth. Selling to just one customer persona will limit your reach and limit your scale potential, as I mentioned in the research step, again, with our supplement niche client. How do you change that? By exposing different segments of the market to different copy and storytelling. And here in this case, I viewed an example of ours. So this is a headline from an advertorial we've made for a client, and I've also made a breakdown of this advertorial on my channel. So if you want to see how we slashed customer acquisition costs in half for this client, yeah, you can go look at my advertorial training for this specific advertorial right here. But I've included also a few other external examples like this creative right here. No more groggy mornings. No more groggy mornings in itself is an angle. It's relatable for people that always have groggy mornings, that feel bad in the morning, and this might be a very good chunk of people. I want to also use this example to tell you that you need to be thinking in angles and emotions. What problems and pains people that experience groggy mornings might have in their daily life. This is what you need to be thinking of when thinking about angles and customer personas. This is very important. This is the soul of marketing and selling a product. So you need to be thinking in angles, offers, and emotions. This is what you need to be thinking of. So let's go forward to pillar C, which is presentation. The last pillar, but not least important, is presentation. What do you mean by presentation? I already mentioned this, the way you visually showcase the offer to the target market. Simply put, design. There is a never-ending battle between design and copy, especially in the DTC space. Some people think design is useless and writing great copy is the only thing that matters, and these are the heavy direct response kind of funnels and people, which we also do for specific niches and specific industries. But there's also some other peoples and some other brands that think design and branding is very important and put a lot of effort into it. So where is the truth between those two type of brands? The truth is that you need to be the best in both. Yes, crafting effective, great copy will sell very, very well. Yes, designing good looking branded funnels will also sell very, very well. Yes, crafting effective, great copy and designing good looking branded funnels will sell even better. Why choose one or the other when you can optimize and split test for both? Do you prefer to win a philosophical battle or just scale your brand effortlessly? If the answer is the latter, then we need to work on both. We need to work on copy and we need to work on presentation. So here I want to show you just a few examples of what this can mean. So here this is an example of one of our actual clients. We're just changing the structure of the buy box from what you see on the left here, which is just using very basic Shopify theme apps to changing it and split testing it with what you see on the right here. We've not changed anything else about this. We've not changed the offer. We've not changed the page at all. We've just changed the buy box here, and this resulted in a massive increase in AOV and CVR because the offer were just much better presented than the old layout here. And I've also included other layouts and other examples from Space Goods and Javi in this case, because they do very, very good work with their design. So presentation is also very important. Do not fall in this cop tool right here about copy versus design. We need to be able to optimize both. So now you'll actually come in Figma, and this is that you're looking at right now is a Figma file of one of our current clients that we're conducting a conversion rate optimization audit for. So you're looking at the exact work we are doing to this client. So follow along. You need to import your current store. So for example, here right now we have their product page both in desktop format and in mobile format, because every split test will obviously have a desktop format and a mobile version of it. And near to the mobile design here, as you can see, we have the full page of their mobile design for the product. We are going to leave comments near every single possible split test you're going to run, and you're going to leave a comment outlining briefly what the split test will be about. So for example, here they're running a free shipping discount when buying 2 or more jars of the supplement, of this drink mix. So for example, split test 1, showcase the threshold for free shipping in a more appealing, gamified way. You don't need to go into extreme detail when brainstorming hypotheses. You just need to have a brief idea and a brief description of what you think about split testing there in that section. And having it in this way makes it very simple then after for your design team, or for if you're going to do the design yourself, to actually understand and remember where you meant to make that change and where you need to actually implement the split test. So for example, here, split test 1, showcase the threshold for free shipping in a more appealing, gamified way. As you can see, I've left the comment nearly near the actual announcement bar, where the actual change will be applied. So in this case, split test 1 is there. Then for example, let's go to more comments. Split test 3, we can use more appealing and converting copy for the headline to read in the visitor, examples shown, and I'm going to show the examples for some of these split tests after. As you can see, I've gone throughout all of the page, left comments with numbered split test and a brief idea behind every split test, and this is exactly what you need to do to come up with hypotheses and brainstorm them. You're looking at exactly what you have right now. You're using the information you've gathered in the step in the first step with the research base to be able to come up with the split test. Now you need to come up with them, leave the comments, and once you have left quite a few comments, it depends, there will be stores that need more, stores that need less, and the issue here with doing this yourself and not having a proper CRO team or CRO agency following you in doing this is that you'll suffer a bit from blend bias. So you obviously you are the owner of your brand, you don't know exactly, and you maybe be biased because obviously it's your brand or the brand you're working for, so you won't be able to exactly see everything that you would be able to test and optimize. But from an external perspective, from a team like us that have run split tests for multiple different e-commerce brands in multiple different niches and achieved great results for them, we are able to look at this from an outsider perspective and see exactly what we need to test to be able to get the best results. So after you've left all of these comments and you've left all of these split testing ideas all throughout your Figma file, you're going to have to actually design them. So you'll take this brief piece of description here, this brief idea here, you put there, and you'll put it to actual design. So when implementing the split test and when developing the split test, you have actually the reference to follow. So for example, let's take the split test here, split test number 6. With the free shipping offer we're running now, it makes absolute sense to have a bundle selector with 1 jars and 2 jars option. We want to make 100% sure that the customer knows the value they're getting by getting 2 jars and actually getting the free shipping offer. So let's go and see split testing 6 number here. As you can see, this is how we do the exact designs for every split test. So split test 6 here, bundles. The B4 is the current situation they had, and this is gotten exactly from how their, in this case, product page is structured right now. And this is the design that we came up with to follow the split testing description I gave. So here is the design that my designer made for this. So we have the bundling section, other than the subscribing section that was already there. We've added 1 jar with the price, and then the 2 jars, and we've added the actual free shipping page there. So we 100% know that the customer knows the value they're getting from going for the higher priced bundles, and the reason why getting 2 jars is better than just getting 1 jar, and what they're getting more with it. So obviously this is a variation of it. You can split test multiple, basically infinite different variation for the same split test. You could design the split test in 1,000 different ways. Probably this is the first way we came up with, and we also come up with many different variation for the same split test. If you want to test multiple variation in a multivariate test, you can obviously do that by coming up with designs for many different iterations of the same split test. So this one here has the images, and it's kind of more interactive, more heavy on the eye, more visual. We have a few different more approaches which are more bland without images, more kind of following the subscription design we already have there, that was already there from the brand. And here we have another approach which is in this case horizontal instead of vertical. So you can obviously come up with many different variation, many different iterations to the same test to be able to actually see what is the best possible iteration that will get you the best results possible. So this is the exact process we follow to come up with hypotheses and to actually design them. If you follow these, you will be able to come up easily with hypotheses, and you'll be easily able to build designs for them to achieve the results you want. So after following the instructions in the video, you have to do split test prioritization. You should have a pretty good list of split tests to run an optimization to make right now after following the instructions in the video. A lot of brands get overwhelmed during this step because there is so much to do they don't even know where to start, and this is a very great problem about CRO and split testing. There is a very simple rule for this: start where the eyes are. What do I mean by start with where the eyes are? If you're running traffic to the product page, for example, right now, it makes sense to start optimizing there first, because it's obviously where you get the most bang for your buck, since every single dollar of your paid spend is getting directed there. So let's start first from where the eyes are. Then just follow the 3 pillars like I explained above. So first, offer tests; second, targeting tests; and third, presentation tests. So first, start where the eyes are, then follow the 3 pillars that I explained before. Then there is the difference, very important difference here. This is also a very important concept about split test. There is macro and there is micro split tests. Not all split tests are created equal, obviously. Some are more impactful than others by nature, because they target vital parts of the funnel. That's where we make the distinction between macro and micro split tests. So macro split tests impact the structure of the funnel, how customers perceive and reach your product. Examples: testing traffic to a PDP versus a landing page, or testing different offers. And then there are micro split tests, which is change an element of a piece of the funnel, no structural impact. So in this case, for example, testing UGC instead of text reviews on the same landing page, or showing a buy box structured in a different way, which I've shown you in the example before. Needless to say that macro tests should come first. Why is that? Because they give you that strong foundation you need to scale hard, and also leverage micro tests in the best way possible to push that scale even further. And here I've made a simple, very simple example, very simple graphic to explain that. Macro split tests obviously have the highest impact because you're fundamentally changing how you're selling your product to your customer, but both are very important. So make sure you target both macro and micro split tests. Here we are at step 3, design and development. This is the most straightforward step of them all. This will be very quick, so let's go forward with it. Before going forward with it, congratulations, because you've just completed the 2 most tedious steps of the process, which are research and coming up with hypotheses. Those are the 2 most difficult steps. From here on, it's very, very simple. 95% of brands never start split testing because of what I mentioned before, because it requires a non-negligible upfront time investment of research and hypothesis. So those are the 2 first steps we just went through. Smart brand owners just outsource the entire process, for example, to us, because it's very difficult to do it alone if you're just starting out. But you can still do it alone if you have time and patience on hand and are willing to go through every step of the process again and again, because remember, split testing is a cyclical process, so you need to keep it up. Not all tests obviously need the step of design and development, because they apply for tests that impact your store visually in some way or another. Obviously, not all tests do that. For example, think about offer tests, and those that have to do with data can mostly be set up directly from a split testing tool. Example, price testing a product. This is a very good example of that. This step execution is entirely dependent on your particular situation, how your store is built. For example, default Shopify hosting or headless Shopify store, what you use to build on your store. So in this case, page builders, Shopify apps, pre-made widgets, or code. If you have technical people in-house or outsourced, which in this case we have inside, and when we work with a client, we offer obviously our designers and developers to build, design and develop the split tests for them. But we'll go over this in step 4, which is test this up in the next step. And I'll show you step by step the most straightforward approach with 2 real live examples of how to set up split tests on your store. So here we are almost there. Step 4, split test setup. Now that you've designed and developed your test for step number 3, I'm going to show you how to set it up and run it, whatever is the approach used in the previous step, while keeping track of every metric with clear, simple to use dashboards for checking results, with metrics, data correctly tracked and attributed to different traffic channels, etc. and more. To do that, I'm going to run you through 2 full setups of different types of tests, so you have 2 different references to look at when you're setuping the tests for your brand. First of all, I want to show you the tool that has helped us and it has allowed us to run all of these tests for 7 and 8 figure brands during this time. So this app is Intelligence.io, which is the best Shopify split testing tool available right now. It's the app I've used to set up and start split tests for every single brand that worked with us. It is the ultimate profit optimization tool. It's the best option in the market right now. As you can see from the number, they're processing between all of the brands using them, 100 million incremental profit generated, 400 million shoppers in tests, $1.5 billion in transaction, and 1,300 A/B tests run. You can test anything on your site with Intelligence, and we use Intelligence to power the tests for our clients. You can test landing pages, PDP layouts, offers, apps, themes, sections, whatever it is that you want to test, you can do that with Intelligence. And you can boost your performance with offer and price shipping testing. So a lot of tools out there, they just allow you to test just very simple things on your store, like content, text, images, and stuff like that. But with Intelligence, you can power price tests, offer tests, shipping tests, stuff that is very important on your bottom line and to allow you to be as profitable as possible. So choose Intelligence to run split tests on your store and have control over every single metric and improvement thanks to their dashboards, which are very, very good and allow you to see in real time how your tests are performing and what variation is performing best. And you can use the link in my description to access Intelligence and install it for your store. Okay, so let's go through full split test setup. This is the first one. We're going to do a product page change example. And in this example, we're going to want to test a new buy box against our current buy box. So current buy box versus optimized buy box. How we're going to set up that? We're going to look at this now with Intelligence. So starting from the Intelligence dashboard, once you've signed up and installed the app for your store, this will be your default Intelligence dashboard once you register and log into the platform. You obviously start by clicking on create new test, and I have images here for simplicity so you can look at every single step here with the arrows. So it should be very, very simple. If you want to do it by yourself from the dashboard, just click on create new test, and this pop-up here will open for you, which is test type selection. In the menu that opens, you'll find different types of tests you can run. For the purpose of this example, we're running a content test, so click on content test in this case. So from the selections here on the pop-up, you can click on content tests. Then going forward, you'll have obviously test category selection. There are different types of content tests, obviously. For the purpose of this example, we're going to use a theme test since it's the most straightforward and simple one. Obviously, you can choose from a lot of different test examples and test setups right here. But for the purpose of this guide right here, we're going to go with the most straightforward option, which is theme test. So from all of the options on the pop-up, simply select theme test. Then going forward, we'll be allowed to input in the details for our test. So in this case, the setup wizard will open. You'll be able to input your test name. You'll be able to input a description for your test. You'll be able to input the primary goal for your test. You can choose between profit, revenue, and conversions, as you can see here. You have to choose an option, but no worries. There is no difference between the choices. Everything will be the same, so choose freely whatever is the option that you want to choose. Then we'll go forward by clicking continue here. Once you've inputted every information requested, you will click on the continue button here on the bottom right. On the test setup, you'll be asked to select the groups for your tests. You can customize 3 things here, and you'll have to decide how to split traffic between the variations here for the test. So in this case, we're only testing 2 variations. There will always be 1 variation, which will be your current variation, how your current buy box is structured. And for this test example right here, we're going to have another variation. So in this case, 2 total variations to test. So in this case, the test by itself will be already 2 groups, but you can add more groups here with the blue button here. So you'll have group names, which are the arrow on the left right here. You can change the group names by clicking on here, clicking on the pen and just changing the group names to make sure you know what the variations are referring to. You can change the split of the traffic between the two variations. By default, it will be 50 and 50%. So leave it like that if you just want to test two variations. If you put 3, it will be 33, 33, 33, and so forth. So decide simply how many groups you want, give name to your groups, and then select the split in traffic between the various groups you've created. Then going forward after that, you'll click on the bottom right continue button, as you can see here. Then you'll go to group team selection. Obviously, since we're running a team test, we're going to have to choose the teams we want to put into the test. For the team test, you'll have to select at least 2 teams, but more if you have more groups in the test. So as you can see here, this will be the screen you see. Team redirects. The control group will be the team you have live right now. This will be the team you choose as the control group because it's the team that contains your current setup, which is the control group. And then for new group 1, you'll have to select the theme, duplicate the theme of your current team where you have made the change to test. So in the control group theme, you'll have your current buy box, and in the new group 1 theme, you'll have the optimized buy box you want to test against your current buy box. So you need to click on select a theme for both of them and select in both cases the theme for the groups. Very important for team tests, make sure you have installed the intelligence code snippet in every theme you're testing, but test setup should help you with that and tell you if everything is done correctly. So in case you forgot to install the code snippet which intelligence gives you, the setup wizard should tell you that. But let's go forward to step number 7 of test setup. Team selection, as I mentioned before, this is the basically the selector that will open up where you'll be able to choose between all of the teams you have currently available on your store. Don't worry about them not being live. The only theme in this case which will be live, will be your control group theme, which is the actual theme you have running right now. With the intelligence snippet code, you'll be able to also choose theme for the variation groups that are not live, and intelligence will handle that for you. So do not worry about that. Test setup number 8, step number 8, targeting. You can decide to show your split test just to specific audiences with different filters, such as device type, new returning visitor, traffic source, country, and many more. This is the how the dashboard will look like and how the test setup will look like. You can select different filters here for targeting for the test. So if you have a lot of traffic coming from a lot of different sources, a lot of different countries and stuff like that, and you want to target tests for specific audiences, this will relate to bigger 7, 8, and 9 figure brands. If you want to target your tests for different kind of audiences, then you can do that from the targeting step in the test setup. At this point, you'll have to click Save Test on the bottom right, and you'll have created your first step. But do not stop here, because there is one last step. You'll have to go into your A/B tests list to actually start the test, because the test is not started right now, it's just saved. If you go in your A/B tests here, you can click on the left on A/B tests. You'll have an overview of every single test you've ran for your brand right now, and you'll see the experiment you just created. To start it, you'll have to click on the start button you see in the middle right here. It will ask you to Q&A every single change you make and make sure that everything works properly and that you follow the intelligence guide to make sure that the test works properly. And then once you've done that, you can click on start test and the test will actually start. Let's go to the full split test setup. Example number 2. In this case, we want to run a product price test. It will mostly be the same, so I'll just go fast through the steps that are just the same as the first one. You'll click again on creating a test. In this case, in test selection, you'll click on pricing test instead of content test this time. In test setup, this will be slightly different. You have to choose the product, obviously, that you want to product price tests. So in this case, from all of the list of the products you have, obviously you have to choose active products that you're currently selling right now, because if you select draft products, customers won't be able to see them. So you need to select active products, and once you select them, they will be added to the selected items, and you'll be able to click on continue and go forward with the test. Then you'll have test setup details again, like basically the same as before. The only difference will be there is that you'll have another option, which will be choose a default view for analysis. You can do site-wide, so all orders are included, best for sweeping price tests or tests where there is a high degree of interaction between the products in and out of the test, or test products only orders containing a test product, so the products you've selected in the last step. And it's best when testing another part of the catalog that won't likely have an effect on other products. But don't worry, even if you choose one of these two options, the functionality will be fairly the same. So don't worry about choosing too much the right one. Then we have test groups. Again, this will same thing as before. You'll have the control groups. You can add as many groups as you want, and you can split the traffic the way you want between all of the test groups. By default, it will be 2 groups, 50-50 split. Then you'll have to input the prices, obviously, that you want to test. So this is a little bit tricky. So follow the image here, and what you're looking at is basically for how many products you have selected in step number 1. There will be as many lines here in the set up your prices tab. You'll have the control group, the group number 1, and as many other groups as you've inputted in the last step for the group creation. So you'll have basically the control group, which will be your current price of the product, and if there is any compared price product, it will show up here. And then in new group 1, you'll have to input the price you want to actually test for the product. So in this case, as you can see here, if for example your current product price is $41.99 and you want to test $45.99, you'll have to input click on the cell right here. It's just like a CSV Excel setup. You'll just click on the box here on the cell, input $45.99, and this will become the price for your group 1 variation. So this is the setup for price testing. Then again, for targeting, you can also do targeting here. You can do targeting for every type of test you want to run. So here again, for bigger brands, 7, 8, and 9 figure brands, if you want to target the test to specific markets or audiences, you can do that here in the targeting step. Then there is content test setup. This is only available, I think, on price tests, because you may need to change stuff like small little HTMLs or CSSs around the pages, around prices, to make sure that everything is consistent around the store when you change prices, especially. That's very, very important for test consistency. And then again, as I mentioned before, you'll have to go into your A/B test list and click on start to make sure the test actually starts running. Congratulations, because now that you've clicked on the start test button, you'll have officially started your first split test on the store. Now I have to tell you, because it's very important, what will happen when you start a split test. The thing that will happen is that you won't be able to keep your eye off of the results dashboard, because as I mentioned before, with IntelliGems, you'll be able to have a dashboard where you see every single metric, how it's impacted by the test you're running, and you won't be able to keep your eye off of the results. And I tell you because I know it firsthand. I know because it was like me, it was like that for me when I ran my first few split tests a long time ago already. This is only good for one reason, but bad for multiple ones. It's good because if there is an issue with this test setup, so make sure obviously to check that everything is correct, as I mentioned before, with the Q&A step on IntelliGems. You'll be able to spot it immediately if you keep constantly checking it, but this is the only good reason of constantly keeping your eyes on the test. There are many bad reasons though. Tests take time to give you meaningful and significant results. So checking it every single hour, it's not productive at all. If you see bad results immediately, you'll want to stop the test and throw away the variation. If you see bad results immediately, you'll start discrediting split testing and never do it again. If you see good results immediately, you'll want to stop the test and apply the variation quickly, which is also not how it works at all. Don't fall into any of these traps. Meaningful results for split testing take time to form because of the amount of people that just have to go through the test. You can't make this quick. You can't make this less painful. You just need to have people going through your tests to make sure that the tests are statistically significant. Do not make any decision before at minimum 7 days of running the test. This is very important. At our agency, we use 14 days, not even 7 days. But if you just can't wait to make decisions on the test, then keep it at a minimum of 7 days at minimum for significant results. Now we are at the last step of the process, which is test finalization. So what happens now? Here we are at the final step of our process. if you followed every single step of this document, you've now conducted proper market research and customer research, and now you have a knowledge base that will help you craft effective copy and angles and setting angles for your marketing. You built up meaningful hypotheses leveraging the knowledge base built in the previous step, and now you have an idea of how you will tackle your brand changes over the long term, so you know and have that consistent growth base you need. You prioritize this hypothesis properly by following the 3 pillars and now have a list full of optimizations. Again, 3 pillars very important for test prioritization here. You took the highest priority optimization, designed the test and developed it. Finally, used intelligence to set up the test and start it. And now the test has been running for enough time. So let's say you've already been running the test for 14 days at least, and has gathered enough data to be statistically significant. Congratulations, you completed the first big step of traffic optimization. I don't want to ruin the party here, but now you have to keep this process up and running cyclically, and I'll tell you how right now. So how do you keep this cycle running? Now that your first ever test has gathered enough data to be statistically significant, we can use this data to feed our knowledge base from step 1 and restart the cycle again. There's 3, yes, not 2, possible outcomes for a split test. It has statistically won. One of the new variations has performed better than every other variation in the test. It has statistically lost. Every new variation has performed worse than the original variation. And there is also a gray area. The improvement decline of variations is not big enough. So let's go over every single one of these outcomes. So outcome number 1, winning test. When a test has statistically won, you can stop it and publish the changes from the winning variation on the main live theme. Now the full effect from the improvement of the test will apply to all incoming traffic, not anymore as the 50-50 split we set up in the group test. And your brand will keep benefiting from it for the medium to long term. This does not mean that it will perform like this forever, something that a lot of brands forget. And this is also why CRO is a cyclical and never-ending process. Outcome number 2, losing test. When a test has statistically lost, unfortunately, you can stop it and keep the original variation running just as it was. It means your current situation and your current variation is already performing better than the options you're tested. This does not mean that it will perform like this forever. Again, very important. It's something that a lot of brands forget again. And also losing tests can be rerun with different approaches and variations of the same change. So don't throw them away and keep feeding your cycle and the knowledge base we've built in step 1, also with losing tests. This is all information you need. Then outcome number 3 is the gray area. When the improvement decline of a variation is not clear enough, meaning it's not statistically significant, you can decide basically what you want to do with it. If you think it's still a net positive change for the brand, then go ahead and implement it. If you think it's not that important, then put the hypothesis back into data loop and retest it in the future, maybe with a different hypothesis, maybe with a different variation. In this case, you should closely monitor your performance when implementing changes without testing or consistent data, so you make sure there are no issues with what you're testing. Congratulations! If you actually followed through with the guide and executed every single step I've explained here, you should now have your first split test up and running right now for your brand. And I want to reward you for that. If you actually follow through and right now have a split test up and running, I'll offer you 30 minutes with me on a call, and I'll go through everything you did following this guide. So the hypothesis you've built, the prioritization you've did, the designs you've built, the tests you've built, and I'll go over it for free for you on a 30-minute call to reward you for following through this video and actually coming up with the tests and actually putting them live. So if you want to get this free 30-minute session with me where I go over every single split test you came up with, how you prioritize them, how you build them, how you design them, and want me to give you free advice on it and tips and tricks on how you can extract as much value as you can from this guide right here, then you can book a call in the 3rd link in the description you'll find down here, and see you on the call.